any different. Those systems aren't any different either.
But we still have to record it.
Got it?
Here, I don't wanna.
Oh, thank you.
Nice pen. We really do this out here, so you should be okay.
Okay, let's stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Bueller. Here. Commissioner Day.
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt.
Here.
Commissioner Roops.
Here.
Commissioner Robertson.
Here.
Commissioner Speaka. Here. Commissioner Terry.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so the approval of the minutes, you guys should have gotten 3 copies of these minutes, and I went through them. I did have a question on November 18th minutes. Just that first, when it says board and commission reports, that very first, on the tax increment. It says, Commissioner Robertson stated that the city commission approved a revolving loan fund grant to the Broadway apartments, and that grant was not used. Is that how that should be worded? Because they wanted to use it, but they couldn't, right, because of timelines?
I guess that's, if there's a better word.
Just, is that, are you okay with that? Okay, all right.
Okay.
So I just had a couple of typos. That was my only question though. How about the rest of commission? Do you guys have any questions or comments on what was in the?
I have all 3 in
Perfect.
with
Yeah.
corrections on all of
Perfect.
them, and I circled them really good.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure there's some typos.
But you know, I think what you've done here is much better than
Okay, thank you.
pulling it together with that app, unfortunately. I know it's easier for you, but this is much clearer and
Thank you.
better, so. Yeah, you can pass mine down there too. Is there any comments, or is there a motion on the minutes?
They're just approved standing motion.
Which, 2 years I've been chair.
Ah.
I didn't know that.
All
right. Okay. Courtesies and proclamations, board and commission reports, Commissioner Speaka, you have anything?
Yes.
Oh,
so
yes, you guys had
Yes, the Mountain Development had its annual meeting, which is mostly a strategic planning meeting. So not too much to report there, just try to come away with a couple very focused areas to work on for the year. And we keep talking about the membership dues, and we have another meeting sometime this month to make a final decision on that.
And when you say membership dues, is that just like what the amounts are for different entities?
Exactly, and the overall contribution that everybody altogether makes is still very small compared to the overall budget. And some board members think we really should consider increasing that and not just redistributing how much each person or each entity pays. So they're going to come with a list of their ideal funding from membership, sort of ranked, and we can discuss what makes the most sense. But, yeah, to be continued.
Commissioner Bueller?
The library met on December 12th at 1 p.m. We covered quite a bit of just regular business, which was good. The Friends of the Library, I'm trying to find the date, have set the date for the upcoming Chili Bowl. 24th, I just thought. Thank you, Lorraine. I was gonna say, I know this date. So the Chili Bowl will be held January 24th at the Trade Center again. We are also, the library will most likely be closed at noon on December 24th for that holiday. And we are looking into buying a subscription for what's called Hoopla. And that would offer more audiobooks for individuals so that people can access those more quickly. It also has other streaming services on there as well. So with your library card, you would have a free subscription to that. We're going to purchase that this year. There's been some new tech updates that are helping the staff do some collection management, which has been really helpful. And the story walk continues to be a very successful endeavor with the Parks and Rec department. So that's what's going on. Our next board meeting is January 16th at 1 p.m. That's it.
So the Park and Rec Board did not meet in December. They were planning to, but they decided not to. So their next meeting will be January 1st, Wednesday of the month.
Commissioner Rubes?
Nothing.
Commissioner Hewitt?
The airport board met and we discussed, we have become a venue for weddings and we are not going to allow any more weddings. The reason is they worry about the planes and the people. And not only that, but then there's a barrier that they put up. And if the barrier tips over and whacks one of the planes, you know, somebody could accidentally bump it. So we have chosen not to become a venue for weddings. You can do out on the tarmac. You can do the ceremony, but not the reception.
And that must have been in the hangar, was that where?
Yes, it was in the big hangar, yes. And, the fly-in, oh shoot. What is it, the third weekend in June, they're going to try to get 3 different helicopters for the fly-in. And it'll just be, I guess, the regular fly-in. That was the only thing that we really discussed was the helicopters. There it was some lead-based paint on the doors in the big hangar. There's some minor asbestos in some areas, but they can be avoided and the new door, if we can put in the new door, which would be much larger, those areas that have asbestos right now wouldn't be in the way, or we wouldn't have to do anything to what's the word I want? Get rid of it anyway. Because the hangar is historically designated, any work that we do has to be authentic. That means if the windows, you can't put vinyl windows in, they will have to be regular wooden windows. You didn't read that? Didn't get that email. And there was a discussion about SHPO and FFA as to whether or not we can do anything without their permission. And that is just
I don't know. We're gonna fill that in.
sure.
Because the hangar buildings are on the National Historic Register.
Right.
Anytime you have, it turns out, we didn't know this at the board meeting, we've since learned this right after the board meeting, that any buildings that are on this, any buildings of historical significance that are gonna be changed, the FAA requires a local historical organization like SHPO in this case, for the state of Montana, to give approval for changes or review of changes like that. We don't expect a problem on this, because the airport hangar's been changed, or the hangar's been changed once already.
Right.
So we'll be okay in this regard, we think.
See,
So
now
I
that's,
serve on that board, and the term is that you don't change the integrity of the
Right.
building.
right,
That's what they're asking for, so.
We had a long debate, frustrating debate
right,
amongst board members on why SHPO was involved.
yes.
Because when the airport was nominated and accepted its historic designation, the board was told at that time that there would be no restrictions placed on the buildings based on that. And now that we're 10 or 20 years later, the feeling is that we were concerned that there was some restriction based on the building being on the National Register. Turns out it's not, it's just that it gets FAA funding, period.
It's federal funding, I think, is
Yeah.
the kicker.
So
But
it's-
if you're not changing the integrity, and I have no idea why SHPO has to be like the state, or the agency that says it one way or the other. Just an example, when we did the windows of the library, the big windows that are in the old part of the library, because the library is on the National Historic Registry, which we were just talking about, because that's gonna be an issue when they do the building, the CBG grant. You can't change the integrity of the building, but I remember, because I wanted to put in new windows, and SHPO was like, no, you just need to redo the old windows. I think you were on the city commission when that happened too.
Yeah, and I don't
And
recall.
it was it's very frustrating, but
Yeah.
the key is that you're not changing the integrity of the building, of why it was put on the historic registry in the first place. So, if you're changing the windows out,
So we'll be.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
But the door is,
The door was changed 40 years ago
right,
from its original status. So
Well, and
We
it's
should be fine.
more correct with the historic size of the door and stuff like that, anyway, to go back to something like that.
correct.
And I don't think at the end of the day, SHPO has, they're just kind of like
yeah, why can't we use our own?
Advisory to the.
yeah, I would say they're more of an advisory of what they would like to see. I mean, but
If you guys used your own funding, I don't know that you'd have that issue.
And we're using what's called the Bills Grant, which is a federal funding mechanism that kind of came out of the COVID era. It's more discretionary, so we can spend it on a building, not just on the runways.
I think that at the end of the day, the biggest thing is that they just want these buildings and these areas to be preserved. So they probably won't give you too much, but you have to run through them still, which is frustrating.
So that was the last discussion, wasn't it? Something else?
Oh, Mr. Music. Mr. Music was present again at our meeting, and he had some issues, but I think we
Simon, Mr. Simon.
Simon.
That's
I say music, music is the,
We were right.
yeah. Mr. Simon, excuse me. I think we got him on the right track. He said he had talked to you and.
I've talked to him several times, Doug has talked
And
to
it,
him.
but you had been out and looked at,
It was non-airport issue.
yeah, yeah, that was basically it. But anyway, no, we knew. Other than that, that's, we're just, Tim, it's a good thing, Woody,
Haven't had to deal too much with snow removal up there.
no, we haven't, and we have all of this
No.
new
And
stuff.
we actually, have a new employee, had a new employee this year, and he is gotten a lot of the equipment into better shape than it's ever been in. And done a good job of clearance.
That's, what's his name?
Jeremy.
Johnson. Yes. And our next meeting will be January 8th.
Probably gonna be on Lewistown, I think.
Commissioner Robertson, did you?
Just TIF Ted, just that we should expect that, kind of looking at the agreement that TIF Ted has with Snowy Mountain Development Corp., we're gonna come back, probably separate one agreement into two pieces, one for the TIF, one for the TED, and allow us for some easier paperwork related to bonding, if it's necessary down the road. And that's it.
And that's for administration of what Snowy Mountain Development does for.
Snowy Mountain Development does all the administration for the TIF and the TED, two separate entities. Apparently there's one agreement right now. Auditors would like to see some separation between the two agreements just because they're slightly different pots of money. And so I'm told that they'd be coming back for, we need to alter those agreements. Did you have anything else? I missed the last meeting.
Nope. Okay, it was a quiet meeting last.
Okay, Central Montana Foundation met on November 26th. Not a whole lot going on. We did redo our, which is all up and running, and everybody's gonna get, all the donors and people who are involved in having accounts there are going to get like, updated, how you can, they'll be able to log in and check their account and see what's on it. That they haven't had to do in the past. We redid our, technology that we have, and then, also update, because of the technology changing, and we have gone through an auditor, because the account is, our holdings are so large in that, in the foundation. So we are gonna do an audit and then, do a possible different kind of spending policy and fund agreements. And again, it's just kind of paperwork in the sense that, everybody knows what's going on, how much they're getting, and where the money's going, where it's holding, where you can pull it out of and stuff. So that's what's going on there. And then we did give $3,000 to Central Montana Spirit of Christmas, which is essentially kind of like the coats and those types of, in people in need of those types of things. Kind of like Toys for Tots, but not really. And we are not meeting in December, and our next meeting is the 4th Tuesday in January. Probably the 24th.
Maybe that.
It's one day before Callum.
Yep.
Birthday.
Have an 8-year-old.
Yeah, big birthday. Okay, any other comments on board and commission reports? City manager report.
Yes, just a reminder, at the next meeting, we don't have a committee of the whole. The first action will be electing the chair and vice chair. Hopefully you guys are putting some thoughts into what boards you serve on. If you have questions, feel free to reach out as to kind of duties and regular times. I did circulate kind of that printed version. I just wanted to remind everyone that commissioner packets are available for pickup on Friday, we say before noon, and then we upload them onto the city's website. So your packets are available to the public and to you guys Friday afternoon, and then you can see the agenda and committee of the whole stuff too, and then we'll continue to email them out. So if you have questions or suggestions there, please let us know. The city office, library, and civic center will all be closing on Christmas Eve, and we'll get those noticed up. Public Works did decide to stay open. The Ice Skating Association is in the process of making ice, and they will start the new year with a couple of hockey tournaments again this year, and those are always a big event and a good way to start the hockey season. Sewer rates are set to increase in January. It won't show up on the people's bill until February. But as we kind of briefly discussed the last time, the residential base rate goes up 25 cents, the commercial base rate goes up 25 cents per EDU, and then the sewer use charge goes up 50 cents. And so those rates are there. This is the second increase, and so there is 3 years left of the RV defined. And then we do allow fireworks on New Year's Eve, and so from 10 to 12:30, anticipate that. And then I did want to make sure you guys all saw the response to the EQ. So we responded to just one of the letters, which is the facilities, which is the plant permit. And so we responded to, as requested, where we were with the repairs on all of the mechanical equipment and things like that. So you should have got that. And then we'll be working with our engineers to address the stormwater stuff. And then I have been corresponding back and forth with Chris from the EQ on various topics. And so he's fully aware of kind of where we're at with working with the engineer and stuff like that as well.
So the one letter that we received right after our meeting, where they were here virtually, was that releasing the one permit?
No,
What
it
was
did
that
not.
releasing?
It
Because there
did
was
not.
one letter that said no further action.
No, he did not send that. He had 2 letters that needed additional information.
What was the second letter that was sent that day?
So there was one, the main plant, the wastewater,
Which
permit,
you then responded to.
said, I mean, he basically asked for more information, including timelines and basically existing conditions, like where we were with the repairs of, I don't know, probably 10 items. And so that's the one that was responded to. The other one is the stormwater permit, and we had through the end of the month to respond to.
I must have read that wrong, I'm sorry.
He talked like he was going to do something similar to that, but did not end up going forward with that. So
Okay.
he asked for more information.
And then on the Huber Field Service Report, there's these notes. Do you keep those somewhere? Are those like your tasks that need to be done to maintain the facility there?
They're kept at the facility, yeah.
Okay, so it's something like, recover control panel to gain back automation, things like that.
It's already in the works, yeah.
Okay.
And that is actually one of the pieces of equipment that's being replaced in this wastewater project, so.
Perfect.
Okay, my question is on this letter from Susan Bodden that says attached, please find a closure letter.
So that's the water system, so the chlorination order, basically.
Okay.
So they closed that out because obviously we're compliant with that.
So just to be clear, the big outstanding issue probably is the one you're working with the engineer on, which is the permit, the
Stormwater.
The stormwater release permit, stormwater permit.
Yep.
Related to primarily the
Compost.
compost piles and the releases that might have occurred, right?
The exceedance.
The exceedance, which means that it rained a lot right? And so you're working with the engineers to get a plan put in place to check off all the boxes that they wanted for those things.
Correct, yeah, to respond.
And then the equipment is not a permit, that is a.
So it is in response to the actual facility permit. So when they came, they did actually 2 inspections. Okay,
So
we
is
have
that 3 permits or 2?
so the facility technically has 3 permits, but with DEQ there are 2.
So
And-
the stormwater is one that we're working on, and then also the equipment, which
The
is the one
facility.
you just sent, the letter that you just sent.
I think of it as one that's the outside,
And one's the inside.
which is the farm, the
Compost.
compost, if you want to call it that, and rainwater and rain events and those kinds of things. That's one whole area. The other is the facilities equipment. kind of the easy thing. The other thing is the word salad that comes from the feds on, we've read that. Well, there's a lot in there, and it can make your head spin if you wanna sit there and pull it apart, which I spent an hour and a half doing, to try to understand it more thoroughly, and that's the piece that would require an engineer. And when I was in private business, we hired engineers to do the same kind of responses, because it takes a full-time professional to respond to that kind of stuff.
I just remembered in the minutes it had talked about the composting. I can't remember which minute date that was, Nikki, but, it had talked about the composting and making sure that we, provided that for the citizens. I don't think that it's a problem of not providing it for the citizens, it's just where it's at currently, correct?
Correct.
Because we still wanna be able to provide that so that people can do their leaves and twigs and whatnot.
We'll see what the path forward is.
But, just not where it's at.
Am I understanding it correctly that there is compost for both the public to drop leaves, but also for the wastewater plant? Does it do
It's
any?
one in the same. So
Okay.
they take the
But
leaves
it-
and grass clippings and
Mhm.
compost that with the biosolids.
And that's what I was gonna say, because the biosolids come from the wastewater treatment facility. And both of those things come together into quote unquote the compost.
And you can do it different ways. I mean, some people land apply straight biosolids, things
Yeah.
like that, so.
I guess I just wanted to be clear, because it kind of sounded in the minutes like maybe the commission was saying, no, we don't want to provide compost opportunities for the guests or the people.
And
I just want to make sure that it's saying that we're working on trying to make, if we have to find another area, that we can do that. I'm sorry, I handed my minutes in, so I'm not quite sure where that was at.
I
I think
remember
the bigger
reading
issue
that.
is gonna be the engineers come back, hijacking this. When the engineers come back, and needs to be a bigger discussion or bigger decision made about the sludge storage and composting operation and where that happens.
Right.
And if it doesn't have to happen, it's more expensive to move it and go put it somewhere else than to do it right adjacent to the plant, which is convenient and right there, and there's land there, but it's close to the river. So that creates a problem, so potentially moving that away so that you don't have to have this class 2 solid waste management system right there, which is licensed, and is a different issue. So if we can move that to a different facility, different location,
Different location.
which means you may also move the composting piles somewhere else to make it convenient. So you don't have to be picking all that back up again and then carrying it across town and dumping it again. You may have to move all of that to one location if you can find a place.
Well, and then we'll have to look at staffing it. I mean, it takes a lot of work and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's definitely way too premature to say one way or another, but it is the plan to kind of work through those challenges.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make a point that
The bottom.
that no decision really has been made, like we're still working on.
Yeah, it says the city manager Phelps answered, this is the service the city provides to the citizens. The decision would be totally up to the commission on what to do.
And it's all,
Cause that summed up what you said, you guys were talking about different options, transporting, all that, and it's up to you.
but we need a recommendation from the engineers.
Yeah.
So which way to go with that first?
Any other comments or questions on the DEQ stuff? Super confusing, so just to make sure everybody's on the same page of where it's at.
So the city has a plan for all of the equipment within the housing of the wastewater treatment plant, as well as dealing with the 2 permits that exist on the outside of the building. Primarily, the main thing we're thinking about right now is compost, and that's what the engineer is going to be
The
reviewing.
stormwater.
Stormwater.
The engineer, the compost, the grass clippings
Gotta
and
write
the
it down.
trees is not the issue. Really,
But
it's
the
not
compost
about-
is not just that, it's also
You're talking
biosolids.
biosolids. You're
But
talking the waste that comes, the solid waste that comes
Yes.
out of the treatment plant. That's the big issue, and where it goes if it rains.
Yes.
That's really well, that's the
Okay,
whole issue.
so let me make sure I understand this correctly, because I thought this is what I just said, is that The compost is a mixture of both the grass clippings and the biosolids.
Right.
So that is all one entity for one permit. And then there
But it
is a
doesn't have
stormwater
to be.
permit.
That doesn't have to be.
No,
But
but
right now,
currently,
today.
what we
Yeah.
live in on this day, that is what we are living in.
Right.
And that is something that we can come to review after the engineer gives us some information.
Yeah, and I just wanted it to be, because that is a service that we do, that a decision has not been made yet on exactly what is gonna happen to where, when, all that stuff.
Yep.
I know people like, put their grass clippings in.
Grass clippings are important, biosolids we also have to figure out. They're the same thing,
Inside, outside, two permits.
upside down.
Any other questions? So right now, in regards to DEQ, we're waiting for the response to the letter that you sent on December 6th.
Correct.
And then
preparing the response to the
to
other.
preparing the response for the stormwater.
Correct.
We sent the one for the,
Facility.
the inside.
Yes.
And now you're preparing with the engineers to write the second one.
Correct.
What's the timeline on that?
I feel like it's the end of the month, but I don't know the exact date.
All right. Got it? Clear as mud?
Clear
Clear
as
as biosolids?
biosolids.
Yeah, clear as biosolids? Only you and I know.
It's almost Christmas, I'll take it.
Any other questions for Holly on anything? Okay. All right, public comment. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
That would be me.
Yes, that would be you.
Bill Baldus, Vice Chair of the Big Spring Creek Watershed Council. We had our regular meeting last week, and your discussion on the DEQ is a perfect segue into some of the questions that the council had. They asked me to come to the meeting and ask a few questions, and I think I got the Reader's Digest version of where we're at with DEQ based on your discussion. I think I understand where we're at. Update on the Public Works Director hiring. That was one of the questions that came up.
It's still out there. We're looking at, pursuing other options, as in, people outside of the area, like a recruiting firm or something like that, to look at hiring that.
Is there a timeline kind of a target that you got in mind for getting somebody hired?
Not at all, no.
Fine,
We'd
right.
love to have one tomorrow, but, we're not interested in just a warm body, so.
And the biosolids, the stormwater thing, that continues to be a big concern for the Watershed Council. Not the grass clippings, the biosolids, not only for a rain event, but for groundwater contamination, being where those piles are stored. So those two issues are something that comes up at every meeting that we have. And the only other thing I've got is, they keep asking me when we're gonna do a wastewater treatment plant tour.
Right now, we have a bunch of people out on vacation and stuff, and they were working with Huber to do, repairs, so, it is still on their agenda, so we'll let you know. I would guess it'll be after the first of the year right now, but.
Sure. Is there any chance that the engineer would be here, at some point in time that would be valuable to go through the plant with our consultant, or?
Maybe, I mean, I can't speak to that, we can try and schedule it, but unfortunately, I don't think it'll happen right away. It'll be something that would come later on. We will have some projects and different things like that that we could tag on to that, but.
Okay.
There is a pretty good document that I could share with you. It was actually submitted as part of our ARPA grant, and you guys all have it attached. It was done kind of as coming out of COVID, so 2021 facilities. I probably have it pulled up here. Wastewater facilities kind of look back, and so it talks a lot about the conditions of stuff, the plans for funding it, the permits, things like that. And it was prepared by the engineer, and that's something the commission all has available to them, and the watershed might find that an interest.
Yeah, if you could email me a copy, that'd be fantastic.
I've got it in PDF, so I can definitely do that.
All right.
And it would give you some insight without having to necessarily have a conversation with the engineer.
Okay. That's all I've got. Thank you so much.
Can I just ask one
Yeah.
question, real quick, Bill? This biosolids issue and concern about groundwater contamination concerns, can you guys make some recommendations? I mean, what your preferences would be on how it's handled?
Sure. I think the consensus, just, based on discussion, just informal discussion among the council, is that it be moved.
Where?
We don't know.
Because I don't I guess I'm just naive. How, if you landform it, which is the conventional means of dealing with it, I believe, you're gonna landform it somewhere in some land. You're not gonna put it in a lined pit. You're gonna landform it, which is the conventional means of doing it. And I'm just wondering if the Big Spring Watershed Council would have a recommendation of what they would feel would be appropriate, or where.
Yeah, we haven't
Appropriate.
investigated other storage options. One thing that came up in our discussion would be a simple change in business process where this material was taken immediately away from the site, not stored there and taken up to the airport or wherever you guys dump that stuff now.
So I would like some clarification really quick. Our process at this city is to hold the biosolids for a period of time, but then they get moved.
So composting is actually a treatment for biosolids. So you have to, by mixing in grass and leaves and things like that and turning it, you actually further break down the biosolids. And so we don't release it until we get to that treatment level.
Okay, so it stays on site for a period of time while it is composting. And while it is composting, have other municipalities or entities done non-permeable surfaces that sits on while it's composting?
Again, that's not something that's necessarily in my wheelhouse. I'm sure there's lots of other folks that have, which, again, there's not that many larger plants that would be above 1 million gallons. That's the only time they're really gonna be looking at the stormwater side of things. And all of them dispose of it differently. Some of them landfill it, some of them irrigate with it, some of them land apply it. There's only a couple, I think, in the state that are
Like us.
composting facilities.
So understanding what those other facilities are doing would be really valuable, and I don't know if you can kind of gather that information and make that available to us. And along that same line, so there is this like holding and then it goes somewhere else, right? Once it's composted, right?
So the other large scale one is, I think Kalispell or Missoula has one, and they actually sell it, bag it and sell it.
I was gonna say, because that's what I remember as being kind of a lawn or a
But that's
garden
actually,
application.
I think the lawn business is right next to the wastewater plant, and so it is actually like marketed as like a byproduct, and then someone else does all of the stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Are they still doing that?
Last I knew, but I haven't checked in probably a year or so.
I was gonna say, I haven't seen.
I thought I heard something that they found PFAS in, was it called Montana Gold? Was the fertilizer name or
I
something
think
like
so,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, my question was, I think, I'd like to hear what an engineer tells us to do with it, which I'm guessing the engineer told us to do what we're doing right now. It wasn't just like some city employee
process that we're doing
So-
now is the same thing that was designed into the facility.
And that was 20 years ago?
So I just thought, obviously, the council, Watershed Council, is well-informed and a group of experts. If they have a recommendation on how to do a different treatment that they would prefer, I'd like to know what that is.
I'd like
As
to
long-
just kind of follow up on that too. You know, I know your group isn't interested in all of this and we're learning as we go as well, but it, you know, it would be really helpful, I think, if you know, you're having meetings, you guys are having discussions and stuff and to, obviously we have to go what we're gonna do with the engineer or whatever, but it would also be really nice to hear what your solutions are, or like Tim said, your recommendations. I mean, I know monetarily this is not an issue, but, your concern is the ground contamination, so what could be done? What are some solutions that we can all work together on?
Sure. I mean, it'd be great if any one of you ever want to attend our meetings and participate in these discussions, would be fantastic. But to answer your question, one of the things we've investigated is the use of a liner. An impermeable liner, like they use in garbage dumps and that sort of thing, but it's very, very expensive. I mean, I think at first glance, it's gonna be cheaper to move it and change business process than it would be to put in a liner.
But, and obviously, like we just talked about, we need to wait and kind of understand what our engineer is gonna tell us too, but.
And what's DEQ willing to accept?
Yeah, and what DEQ is willing to accept.
Do we know who our engineer will be?
The one that I'm working with is Brad Koenig from Pesha, who
Okay.
designed the facility, but I don't know if he's got other people working on it.
And then, do we have a timeline of their review of that?
I
When to
don't know.
expect it?
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be something as we go into construction, which is spring too.
Yep.
That, gets modified.
Which will be good, because it'll be high water times.
Well, we
Practice
should
our
have a
system.
pretty good sense in this real short term, because the DEQ said we
High
want an
level
answer by the end of the
stuff,
year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks to an answer to the DEQ.
So you're looking to the engineers to make the recommendation to the stormwater letter?
Correct, as to what the best paths forward are.
But that's not to say that the Big Spring Watershed Council couldn't put in their input as far as recommendations. And you mentioned the word consultant, and you guys are the experts and are watching this and are concerned
No.
about it, so.
We're not engineers or
Yeah.
wastewater treatment specialists, we're just a group of, concerned citizen volunteers that, get together once a month to.
And I'm sure you got lots of ideas that we can.
I think the concern is, having studied the DEQ's latest letters, it takes an engineering degree to answer these questions. And there's nobody that I'm aware of that isn't an engineer that could answer these questions. These are engineers from the DEQ arguing with engineers from the private sector.
Exactly.
And so, we're not qualified, certainly not qualified to even begin to answer the questions that are in the DEQ's letters.
Yeah,
And
totally
if
understand.
you guys, I was hoping maybe you guys are, because obviously somebody understands some of this. If this is an issue that's of continued concern, you gotta have somebody on your group that understands this and has studied this and you said you had your own consultants, so what are the recommendations that you would have?
No, we don't have consultants.
I thought you said you were gonna bring somebody through the tour of the plant that was a
I
consultant.
was asking if your consultant would be available
Oh.
for the group to.
I misunderstood that
tour.
too.
Okay, yeah, we don't have consultants. The closest thing we've had to expertise, attend our group, honestly, is Matt Hayes, who worked there.
Is he an engineer?
I don't believe so.
So I'm just saying, from my experience dealing with the DEQ, dealing with stormwater permits, because I had to sign off on them on a regular basis for 20 years, a layperson should not be doing that. It takes an engineer doing that to make sure that you don't trip up on the landmines that are built into the system. And this is just landmines,
Yeah.
right? And to respond to this requires somebody with an engineering degree and some experience.
I agree wholeheartedly, yeah.
Is there any way, you were saying that Kalispell may do a similar process? Is there any,
Or they had.
is there any way to connect with that municipality and see their process and if we have any differences? Because that would be a
I think
quick.
it's premature at this point to have those. Those doors were open at one point, and for whatever reason, they didn't move forward. But
What do you
I
mean
think
by
there was
those doors?
offers to even like partner with them, go tour facilities and things like that, so. And I don't know if it's maybe because they stopped producing or they ran into some of their own challenges or things like that. But for whatever reason, the conversation stopped. I'm sure we could revisit that
Yeah.
again now.
But I would, my only concern is, in my experience, the only people that know what the DEQ really want and how they want it, and with which letters, Ts are crossed, which Is are dotted, are the engineers who deal with them on a daily basis. And they have to write the letter to respond properly.
I totally agree, but I also know as a commissioner, it's very good to understand what else is happening and have a broader understanding of this topic. And I see that that could be very valuable in reaching out to different municipalities and just having that conversation with them, as opposed to us taking on the response to DEQ. Let the engineer do that, that's great. But we should inform ourselves through a little independent research.
So I think the goal is, I appreciate you, we've kind of talked about this a lot. The goal, of course, is to get these permits all figured out and handled and stuff, so we'll wait for what the engineer has to say. I appreciate you coming and, talking to all of us and stuff about your concerns. I would take back to your group kind of what we've talked about in the sense that we would love to hear, you know, ideas. If you're meeting once a month, you might as well give us some of your solutions, ideas, recommendations, and maybe bounce those off of what we hear back from the engineer as well. And so,
And Holly, are
Continue
you,
this conversation.
yep.
are you?
I think this is definitely an ongoing conversation.
Watershed Council? Is Doug?
Regularly.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. Acknowledgement of the claims. Does anyone have any questions on the claims from December 1st to December 12th?
Nope, but there's a lot of them.
There is a lot of them. It's a big hefty stack here, Nikki. You must have been busy.
Beginning of the month.
Does anyone have any questions? Ron, do you have any questions on?
This is random, but I just thought, does the library use the time clock?
It's everybody.
Thank you.
Could you just fill the commission in on that real quick? I know that that's fairly new.
So we are in the process of doing time clock plus, so it's an online time clock, that will integrate with our payroll system and will go away from our paper time clock and into the 20th century. Not 21st.
What? No.
Technology.
What again?
Time clocks,
Yeah.
that's what we're working on, so.
Okay, I'll move that we acknowledge the claims that have been paid from December 1st to December 12th of 2024.
Second.
So moved by Commissioner Day, seconded by Commissioner Hewitt. All those in favor of accepting the claims, please raise your right hand. Any questions?
Well, yeah, I thought we were gonna, I was curious now, there was a $7,000 expense for concrete. Now, is that the city's responsibility, or is that shared with the ice skating people? Or is that something from the foundation?
So our deal with the multipurpose room, we have, about 100,000 that we already have allocated for it. that is the recreation district, which is held by the county.
Okay.
And so they've verbally said they would do more too, but we know that that comes from previous years. And so they have poured the slab, so Framingham poured the slab of that building already. And so
Right.
that's what those expenditures are. So we pay for it and then submit to the county for reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
There's his right hand.
Thank you.
Okay, next, can I move stuff around on the agenda? Would it be okay, just real quick? I was just gonna pull.
Well, you have to, we really have to,
That's fine. I was just
you
gonna
have
pull
to
Jimmy's
motion
up.
it,
Yeah, it's fine.
and,
Sorry, Jimmy.
sorry.
I was gonna pull Jimmy to the front, but that's fine. Okay, discussion and action on resolution number 4185, resolution approving an application from Douglas and Lorraine Day for the Emporium Building for additional TIF funds made to the Lewistown Tax Increment Financing District Board. From what I understand, last week, or last meeting, yeah, you had done the first part, and then this is the second part. of this. Or have you just done this?
We haven't done any of this yet.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the first. Okay. What does it say additional for?
That was, I did see that in the newspaper.
Okay, that's a typo, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
because,
I cut and paste and I
okay.
left that on there, I'm sorry.
no
That's
worries,
me.
I was just like, I thought maybe last, you
No,
guys said,
that's
I
me.
was like,
I
oh,
didn't catch that.
okay, so just this is a regular, just flat out.
First
TIF.
time.
Okay,
I didn't even catch that, but it wasn't
It
in the
must be
newspaper.
like
It was an additional.
oh, yeah, well, it's fine, I wanted to just be clear, it's no big deal.
Well, there was a TIF award earlier, wasn't there, for like interior work, cleaning it up and painting?
Not
No,
there.
not there. Okay.
Well, why don't you explain to us, since
That's all right.
we are, since I don't know.
Enlighten us.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
So in November, the TIF board met and, they were also in attendance and presented. But you can see from the information they provided,
Such big memory.
they, plan on doing several different little projects on the exterior of the building located at 301 West Broadway, which is the back portion of the Power Mercantile building that is known as the Emporium. So, some of the work includes restoration of the purple glass block, cleaning windows, glass replacement, a gate at the top of the stairs that's on the sidewalks, things like that. And so the TIF board did go ahead and approve awarding the grant. Did I miss anything there?
Matching grant.
Yes, yep, it's 50% match is required, and so this award that's in front of you tonight is $4,666.84, which is 50% of the total cost.
What was that, did I wanna do that building?
They plan on having 3 different businesses in there, so.
Oh, yeah. It usually does, other times, doesn't it?
Make motion to approve the, hang on, I want to read this correct.
Second.
Approving an application from Doug and Maureen Day for TIF fundings made in the Lewistown Tax Increment Financing District Board Resolution 4185.
Second.
Got it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Robertson, second by Commissioner Roots. Any other comments, questions?
Just that I will be.
I would assume that you would be recusing
From the
yourself,
vote for this.
although I have to comment on your lovely handwriting.
Well, thank
So
you.
it's okay
Very
to read,
legible.
yes. Is there any comments from the public? Okay. Roll call?
Sounds good, yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Did you have anything?
Nope.
We are approving resolution number 4185, Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Days recusing, Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka.
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye. Lots of tip grants, this is so great.
So can I make a comment? I just want to say I'm super excited because one of these projects is not weather sensitive, even though it's exterior. So we can get rolling. So things will start happening. So that's
Very
kind of
exciting.
Yes.
All right, discussion and action on resolution number 4186, a resolution appointing trustees to the Lewistown Tourism Business Improvement District, and basically these are reappointments.
And the same individuals agreed to serve, so UV, Gadad, serves from the Trails End. Amanda Lipke is an appointee from the Super 8, and Suzanne Wigington is an appointee from the Yogo. The T-Bid board, would like to see them reappointed, and they were all willing to do it.
I'm supposed to be Suzanne instead of Kelly Ann on there.
Well, where are you looking?
Good catch. The last,
Kellyanne.
now, therefore.
Good catch.
Oh, it isn't on there.
It is above, but not below.
Yeah, good catch.
Otherwise, somebody was moving, I think.
Somebody moving?
I was moving.
I move, I still move. I move, we approve a resolution 4186, a resolution to appoint trustees to Lewistown Tourism Business Improvement District, especially with the edit on the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Speaka. Is there any other comments from the public?
Well, I'm the same names always on the list.
I don't know. I don't know why the same names are on the list.
That's who
No, it's
volunteered.
just, it's a reappointment because, they're the ones that run the hotels. So.
I just get as soon as it's forbidden. I mean, once in a while. It's forbidden.
Same name, yep. All right, let's do roll call vote.
Okay, so we're gonna approve resolution number 4186 with the correction that we changed, now therefore be it resolved, Kellyanne Terry to Suzanne Wigington. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt, Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka.
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye. Discussion and action on reappointing Mr. Scott Solberg to an additional 4-year term on the Tax Increment Finance Targeted Economic Development District Board.
Yes, so at the last too many T's for tonight at the TIF board, Scott will be the member that is up for reappointment this upcoming year. And so he said he was willing to serve again, not necessarily maybe for the full term because his life is getting hectic, but he did agree to stay on and get them through this legislative session. He served since the inception of that board and is a valuable member. He served as the chairman. There's not any documentation, Tim.
So who's on the TIP board right now? So it's Scott,
Tim, Megan Bartel, Dave Byerly, and Mike Chapman.
those 5. Okay. Just curious. And that's a 4-year term.
It's a 4-year term.
He would like us to appoint him to a 4-year term?
Yes, it is by statute a 4-year term.
Okay.
But he does recognize that it's not a sentence.
You can
It's
say.
statute, but not a sentence. We should start everything like that.
Oh.
It's statute,
Not
not
a
a sentence.
sentence.
I move to approve Scott Solberg to an additional 4-year term on the Tax Increment Finance and TED Targeted Economic Development District Board.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Robertson, second by Commissioner Bueller. Any comments from the public? Any other comments from commissioners? All right, Nikki.
Okay, we are reappointing Mr. Scott Solberg. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka, Commissioner Terry.
Aye. All right, discussion and action on awarding the bid for the emergency generator and centralized battery backup unit. Holly.
Yes, so we have been working on this for a while. This is part of our SLIPA projects that you guys have heard so much about. And so this is to replace the emergency generator at City Hall and provide battery backup primarily to dispatch. So dispatching equipment, servers, radios, things like that. Chief Jensen has so kindly offered to be the project manager on this, so he's worked really hard to get good documents, meet with these contractors, and go through the process. And so last week we opened it, and we're glad to see that we got 4 bids, all meeting the specifications, and 3 of the 4 were under our estimate. I guess it's not an engineer's estimate, so we feel very confident, and would see no reason why not to award it to the low bidder.
Chief Jensen, what would you like to say about this? We talked about it briefly, but.
You know, I think that, all of them met the specifications, they all did a good job, but, lowest bidder is probably the way to go on this. With, you know, in the comparison between what all they're doing, they all meet the, like, scope of the project, I guess you call it.
And the lowest bidder
What's
fulfills,
that?
the lowest bidder fulfills all of the requirements that you're
Yeah.
hoping for?
Really,
So, is the purpose of getting, replacing the Caterpillar generator, the fact that are gonna increase it 50,000 kilowatt hours? You're going from 100 to 150,000?
just so we have the capability for future growth. There are some things that we shut off inside of our bay, when the generator turns on, just because it takes so much power. SCBA compressors being one of them, we shut that off. We shut our air compressors off, our exhaust system off, just because those are 3 big devices not built in that, when they do kick on, it kind of shrinks the lights down a little bit. Especially if 2 of them turn on. If one of them turns on, it's not so bad, but if 2 of them turn on at the same time. So right now, how we currently do it is we go back and we throw the switches for all of those and shut them off. So we're just trying to not buy something exactly what we need, to be able to have something for the future.
You're gonna keep the Caterpillar generator?
We will be keeping the Caterpillar generator, probably rehoming it somewhere else in the city maybe. Selling it, I guess I'm not sure what the plan is, but, it was in the bids that we are keeping that.
We'll see what the options are to make it a trailer mounted generator or something like that, where we have, the capabilities.
Capabilities to power something for power failure somewhere else.
Would something possibly be on loan to like rural fire departments, things like that?
You know, I don't know,
It's not gonna just sit
But
around.
I'm not saying they wouldn't have a use for it, but, it is pretty worn, every time we have service. The guys constantly telling us, hey, it's just a Band-Aid. We can't have that in emergency services. Power goes out, we can't open bay doors. There's just lots of things that happen when the power goes out. We don't have something.
Does it fire up about 3-4 times a year?
No.
No?
Fires up a lot. So it's on a rotation where it runs for roughly, I believe, 30 minutes every week.
Okay.
We go out and do checks on it, and it's kind of a fire department thing. We go out and check the oil, check the antifreeze, check the belts. And then it fires up at like 10 o'clock-ish. We go through a whole, while it's running, we're out checking all the different settings. We log all that down in our emergency reporting software. We have all
the volts, the amps, everything that's putting out. We kind of, for some reason, we service it too, like do the maintenance on it. We do have a company come down and service it yearly, they're changing the oil and all that stuff, and they continue to do that. But any easy maintenance, we kind of handled that through the fire department for as long as I've been on the department.
And so the old one is over 20 years old.
It was put in, I believe, 2001. And then there was one there before that. I believe the building was put in service in 1980. So there was one generator from 80 to 2000, 2001. So now we're 2000, 2001.
And that services the whole that whole building.
So the emergency generator will service the entire building. The battery backup unit, that is gonna be basically designed for all of dispatch equipment. Yeah. So all the consoles in dispatch, all the radio equipment in the 2 other rooms, radio, computer equipment, that they need to stay self-sufficient. Currently, right now, we use individual battery backup units that are hooked to various devices. And, so we do have a power outage, or like a power flicker. Some of that equipment's not on a battery backup unit, so it basically dumps it all. So then the dispatchers have to figure out how to get it all turned back on. So having the central located battery backup unit with all dispatch equipment into a panel, with that panel hooked to just that battery backup unit will hold that power for when that emergency generator starts up. It's not an automatic switch, but there's a time frame there where, hey, we don't have power, we need to turn the generator on. Well, it's got to crank, it's got to start, it's got to accept the load. And that sometimes is enough time that it dumps all the dispatch equipment. You can't talk, they can't get 911s, can't talk to phones, it's all computer-based.
So with the lowest bid, that, all of that will get updated, that you're just saying? Okay.
What's the timeline on that? As far as getting the generator and all that?
Truthfully, some of the bids, I think it was like 23 weeks to get the generator. That's gonna be the biggest holdup, is just getting the equipment.
Yeah.
Getting the equipment and then getting it scheduled into time. Once we award it, I'm assuming we'll have a lot better idea how long it's gonna take to get a generator. Everybody's getting generators, with all the stuff back east going on, so. Supply and demand issue probably. It kind of sounds like the battery backup unit was around the same time frame, so. I would guess middle to the end of the summer. Hopefully have it done, possibly.
5-6 months.
Yeah.
And we do
Maybe
have
longer.
capacity, like we can build additional capacity on the battery backup as well.
Yeah. We had Morrison Merrily do a study on all of the equipment that we have over there. They told us we needed 32 or 33,000 watts of power. So we're getting one for that amount, with capabilities up to 40,000. So if we add more equipment for some reason or another, that we've got, have to go buy a whole new unit, we can go add more batteries to it. Obviously, that will be a cost that we'll have to be thinking about, is replacing batteries on an interval. Not sure what they are, 5 to 10 years probably, but you're always gonna have a battery go bad. Just updating that so we can keep it up and running.
With the length of this order, does that pose a problem with budgeting or anything like that?
It's all part of the grant.
Okay.
Groovy. And there is a match on these grants, which will be coming from the building maintenance. So.
Okay.
I move that we award the bid for, can I specify them, Peak Electric coming in at the lowest bid of the 4 for the emergency generator and centralized battery backup unit.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Day, second by Commissioner Roots. Is there any comments from the public?
Yeah, I'm good, 100%.
No. Thank you. Anything else you wanna say, Chief Judge?
No, I
Good.
think that one of the contractors would have done a great job, just comes down to the money and the match.
It's nice to see so many bids come in.
And local bids.
Any other comments from commissioners? Alright, Paul, or Nikki?
We are awarding a bid for the emergency generator and centralized backup unit to Peak Electric. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt, Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
Commissioner Terry.
Aye. Any citizens' requests? Okay, commissioners' minute, before we get into the commissioners' minute, I just wanna talk, I know that last time you guys put the boards, what boards are open and stuff, but I would just like to kind of hear what people are thinking, now instead of talking about it all the time, next meeting, so kind of what people are thinking, or if they have any questions. I'm assuming that, is there anyone on a current board that wants to get off of that? So that would be you, or did you raise your hand?
The Fergus, the Fergus County Lewistown, Health Board is boring. They don't meet very often, and sometimes they don't have enough folks. If anybody is feeling overworked, I'd love to train.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Like hearing about skunk bites.
Yeah, skunk bites and boring.
Surely we could create
And I'm the only
a
guy
new
there.
board.
Yeah, is there a new board we can put it on?
I'm sure we can come up.
I was gonna say, there's like zoning stuff and all those coming in.
So we have Commissioner Speaka on the Soy Mountain Development Board. We have, Commissioner Bueller, who is on the library board. And Commissioner Day, you wanna stay on the?
I would like to, I have been on that board for a while now, but not a hot minute, so what, 3 years? I would love to see the snack shack kind of through to its petition and all of the work that we're doing with the capital improvement lists and things like that.
I think continuity on boards is really helpful.
Absolutely.
I'm on the Central Montana Foundation Board, and I would like to stay on that board to see them through a couple of things that they're working on as well. Commissioner Hewitt, I'm assuming you want to stay on the airport board?
Well, Tim knows more about the airport than I do, and,
Well, he's already on that board, right?
Well,
So you're out.
I'm on the board in a different way.
Yeah.
Through representing a different organization.
So you wouldn't be able to do.
If Commissioner Hewitt wanted off that board, and I took that seat, then they would open up a different seat to a different person.
So it is an option.
It's an option, if they don't want to.
well, that would be your choice.
Did you see how smooth that was?
Yeah, you should see how she just.
I'm married, my wife does that, you are not allowed to.
That was smooth. Well played, Commissioner Hewitt, well played.
I would happily stay on the airport board in either capacity.
Commissioner Hewitt, what would you like to do?
I don't know. You know,
Take
like
that
I say, I'm not, I give you the basics, and Tim, because he is,
I'm an aviation freak.
yeah. And he knows, I mean, all the time, I mean, and I don't mind. For clarification for you guys, it's good, if he doesn't mind that. Do you mind that?
No, I'll happily do it if you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Commissioner Rubes, also, you may be interested in the airport board. I'm just throwing it out there. If you wanted to, if Commissioner Robertson wanted to stay on, who do you represent right now?
One of the pilots associations. I think you have to be a pilot to fill that seat.
Yeah.
Well, Maybe you should stay on as pilot, since that's a fairly specialized. But I don't know if Commissioner Hewitt wanted to go off in the sense, and Commissioner Roots go on, or if Commissioner Hewitt, you wanted to stay.
Well, if Tim can expound on some of the things that,
I don't mind backing you up.
okay.
All right.
Got it.
Yeah, go make a comment.
Well, I just wanted to comment, I know that there are, even though like it wouldn't be in a commission capacity, there are a few boards in our community that really appreciate having the commission attend. You know, even though it wouldn't be like,
You have a
you
seat at
have,
the board.
yeah, seat on the board, but like I know the Downtown Association is constantly wanting representation from the commission. And the Friends of the Trails is constantly wanting, you know, somebody representation from commission, so it might be.
And
I think that
obviously,
there's
in the Big Spring Watershed
Yes,
Council,
they
they
just,
just,
yeah, we
they
just
just
got that
mentioned that they
tonight,
wanted.
representation.
Maybe I
but-
could go to some of their stuff.
And I just, you know, that could be an
I'll do
option too for,
That would be
if
very
there's one of
helpful to
those
the
that kind
commission.
of.
I think that would be very.
And then what is the situation with the 911? Board?
We do have, the commissioners have one member of the 911 board, Diana's currently in.
They don't meet like.
It's about once a year.
I was gonna say once a year.
Oh,
That's
wow.
even more boring than the.
Yeah.
Is it Diana or is it Katie?
It was me, but
I think Diana took it.
Oh, Dylan.
Well, I kind of wanted to have this discussion, so Ron, if you're, willing to, that puts you on no boards except for the airport board in a different capacity, and the TIP board, which is
Yeah.
not you're not on, but both of those boards
I'm
are.
on 8 boards in life.
So
I'm boarded.
3 private,
You're boarded up.
5 public, I'm boarded out. If you need me to fill a seat, I'll do it, but I have plenty of things to do.
And there, like Lorraine is saying, there are quite a few other entities that have,
Yeah.
wonder if we could have
Yeah, they've expressed it.
a list of those.
Well, maybe for the next meeting, we can think about, but the Big Spring Watershed Council would be a great one for you to.
Yeah, be a buffer maybe, or some such thing.
Yeah, right. And then you can explain to all of us.
Okay.
All right, is there any other comments on boards? I just kind of wanted to have this conversation so we weren't just doing it next
Think
time.
about it.
Yeah. Okay, great. Does anyone have any commissioners minute? Commissioner Speaker, do you have a minute?
I'm good.
Danny?
Or the minutes. Mine's just clarification. Do we still have the city county planning board?
Currently, yes, and it will stay in its
It's gonna continue.
official, like, county capacity, even if we absolve the city side.
And that's one we need to appoint somebody to. Right now, it's Diana, isn't it? You are.
Yeah, but I can't because I'm commissioner.
No,
But
the
we
planning
need-
commission.
No, that's planning
That's
commission, we're just talking the planning board.
Board, okay.
Until it switches, but the county will still be in effect until.
So that's a.
Ron, you might be on more boards than you know what to do.
You said you wanted a board.
Right now, Diana's on that one.
And then at 1 o'clock meeting, do I have it?
Now, it was a planning commission.
Is that not now?
They're not meeting anymore.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's my minute.
Alright.
Got my minute.
Merry Christmas.
Commissioner Roots?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Hewitt, do you have anything?
No, I was gonna say Merry Christmas to everyone.
Commissioner Robinson?
I take the minute just to update on something that we didn't talk about. The city manager, Holly, and I met with the school district. We met with members of the school district and the architectural group and
Owner's rep.
owner's rep and the grounds, the maintenance and grounds folks. And I think through pretty vocal discussion, energetic discussion over the course of about 2 hours, there were some really good potential solutions that were developed that include additional pickup and drop-off lanes around the school to would likely require city participation from a financial standpoint to develop that with our street fund. Some off-street parking behind a gymnasium, that would be the responsibility in all likelihood of the district, if they can find the funds, that's difficult. And a dedicated teacher parking area, rather unconventional spaces, but a good spot for them. And separation of those with traffic separation, which I think could work really well. So I thought it was a really good meeting, it turned out well. So I think none of those are gonna be instantaneous solutions. They're gonna all take time to do, they would all take into the spring and summer, but you could have that in place for definite changes for next year, I think.
Yep, that'd be great.
That would be it.
Good. Thanks for following through on that. That's great. Appreciate that. The only thing I have is I had a complaint from somebody about a camper that they feel is abandoned on McKinley. Do you know
So,
anything about that camper?
Chief Janice was updating me, I think, last week, and Hansers previously would not tow campers, but they did come to terms with a price for towing campers, and so there's also one that was abandoned and pushed into Berg Lumber. So, they plan on towing the one on McKinley and the one at Berg Lumber. Unfortunately, we'll have to own them.
Look at me.
Until we have an auction.
We are trying to develop the
But, but at least they won't be an eyesore for the community.
Do we have a place for those to live while we?
We've been in town.
Okie dokie.
Oh, other than that, how's the camper situation going, as far as like people having campers and?
Code enforcement's been taking a whole bunch. I mean, I think a lot of them were removed off the streets, close to that cutoff time. Several of them, they've had to make contact with, and they've gotten some results on too.
What about the gentleman who came in and talked to us?
That was moved before it was in here.
Well, it was still hanging on the sidewalk. It's not hanging on the sidewalk.
Yes,
Did he move it into his parking lot?
into his driveway.
And then the other thing I just wanted to comment on, because I saw it in the newspaper, was the urban deer. So we're having an issue with that as far as.
So the deer are still a problem. There was some issues with getting them processed and hold times and things like that. So we currently don't have any kill permits for deer. And so the police department will work with FWP on that in the next year or so to get more of them out. But there are a lot of them. Yes, there are some very nice bucks.
You know, my husband
They're like-
went hunting with kids. He's like, we didn't see anything. I was like, I saw a giant buck.
Yeah, right in the
Right there.
backyard.
Cause yeah, but a lot more in the summertime.
Yeah.
There's something.
All right. Okay, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.